would it be a fair statement, Goo, if I said, Goo, they did not in this draft, whether it was through the players they selected or the trades they didn't make, that they're not going in all in. This wasn't trying to get better and go all in and add to their payroll. It was more about maintaining where they're at right now and making the financial future of the team look brighter.
Well, I mean, Steiny, the Niners roster is like a good happy hour. I mean, it's loaded, and it's lost a few things with Eric Armstead, and you mentioned Floyd, so I hadn't even thought of free agency, but I am just petrified, just as a football fan, for Niner fans, and this new defensive coordinator, this is first year on the job, that there is no Greenlaw. So I don't feel like they drafted Greenlaw's replacement in the draft, nor in free agency. I could be totally wrong, but I mean, how many Hufanga, most likely is coming back? I mean, I can't tell you for sure. Now, Renardo Green, Baldy was on with the morning guys. He's high on him. The cornerback out of Florida State, so maybe he makes contributions and maybe he helps. But Steiny, my answer to your question is, until I see otherwise, I want to just say right now, my gut tells me they're farther away than when the season ended because of this injury to Greenlaw and the departure of Armstead.
888-957-9570 is the number. What did you like about the Niners draft? If you liked anything, what didn't you like? If there's something you didn't like, 888-957-9570. Kyle Shanahan spoke on Saturday about where this team is, and this was very interesting to me. Take a listen about how the 49ers right now are gauging right now this year with down the line.
I'd always say I wish it was the other way around, but like last year, you're done with free agency and stuff, and you go in the draft, and it's like, where do you need a starter? And yeah, you always want the best starter possible, but where do you have to get a starter? And you go into last year's draft, and to me, it was one position. It was kicker. And so, yeah, there's some starter positions you can't find a better guy, and there's a lot better. But they're all still guys you feel you can win with as starters. And you go into a draft, and you're like, all right, well, we don't have a kicker, so we got to find a starting kicker somewhere. What else do we want to do? Well, we'd like to get better in this area, and that area, but where is that guy when that draft comes? And if that's not available, then you get a guy to beat someone else out. You get a guy because, hey, this guy might be up on a contract next year, and this guy could be a backup in case of injury, and we can plan for the future, or is this just the best player available? And that's why there's so many different layers to all of this, and wish the draft came first. You can always just sit there and take the best player that came, and then you could go into free agency and try to figure out, like, all right, where can we go fill these holes? But it goes the other way, and that's why it's a bigger window than just right now.
So that was Kyle Shanahan talking about some of their philosophy, and basically he said, it sounded to me like last year once the draft came around, they needed a kicker. So they went and got a kicker. Mm-hmm. This year the draft came around, and what'd they need? Nothing as drastic as a kicker. Or as a kicker last year, let's say.
They need some O-linemen. And they got to. So we'll see how they pan out.
Like, that's the part I don't criticize is, okay, the 49ers needed a lineman. Why didn't they take one in the first round? Because they didn't think they were getting good value there. From the lineman the lineman that they would have taken at 31, they probably felt like wasn't going to be taken till mid-second round or late second round, and maybe even after that. So that part I don't have a problem with if they evaluate every single player in every single position on one big board, and they had Pearsall, the highest rated football player, regardless of position, and he was there at 31, and they said, we're taking the best player. 888-957-9570, 707 saying, Goo,
what up?
Malik Mustafa is Greenlaw's replacement. He's a baller.
All right. And I had the scouting report on him. I have a guy.
He's safety out of Wake Forest.
Yeah, I got a guy, Steiny. Have you heard of David Latham?
Yes, I have, actually.
He runs
a football guy.
Yeah, he has the last word on sports.
Okay.
So he does his draft grades. Sure. But like I said, he's not God. He can tell you what he thinks. But I love this line, Ricky Pearsall, the pick. The best draft picks happen when need and talent align.
Well,
the worst ones happen when teams reach for a player, and he believes that's what the Niners did with Ricky Pearsall. So he gave the grade a D. That has no bearing on what this dude's going to be once he's implemented into this offense.
Unless Latham knows what he's talking about. Because if Latham knows what he's talking about, then he
gave Mustafa a C+. He gave Mustafa a C+. So the guy that
that's like my grades in college, and nobody was happy with those.
Wait,
C+ is not a good grade.
2.0?
2.3.
Okay. Look at you.
2.3.
Got you here.
Wow. What?
Above average.
Exactly. Just a tad above mediocre. Roy's in San Leandro.
Roy.
What's up, Roy? How you doing, man?
Hey, how's it going, fellas? I hope things are okay with you.
Sure.
You too.
Good. I just wanted to chime in real quick and say that I think the 49ers should have did their homework on, replacing James Greenlaw. The guy Armstead on the defensive line, because I admit this draft wasn't really as good as drafts in the past, at least to me. But at the same time, though, I think the 49ers are kind of going to be kind of weakened on defense, because it was good linebackers that came through the draft, linebackers and safeties and stuff like that. But I don't know. I kind of have, so far as the 49ers defense goes, I have my doubts. But one good thing before I let you go, I'm just glad that they got a running back, because that guy, like I told both of you before, something is either wrong with Elijah Mitchell, because he's just not the same anymore. I don't care what nobody say, because, if McCaffrey get hurt, I'm telling you, that 49ers are going to be in a world of trouble.
Yeah.
So that's all I wanted to say. Hey, look, it's nice talking to both of you.
Thanks, Roy. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. He's our guy, man.
Yeah, I was in San Leandro yesterday.
Yeah. What do you give me for Willie Mays? Roy's voice reminds me of Willie Mays, the great Willie Mays.
I didn't.
Spadoni said that was a great call.
Okay,
laughing?
No, but here's where I need to.
Spadoni, back me up, buddy.
No, but here's where
I love you, Roy.
Like 90-year-old Willie Mays.
I want to make sure Goo knows I'm sincere here.
All right.
I didn't make that correlation when I was listening, and then you said, "Hey, it sounded like Willie Mays," and now I can't quite remember. So it may be a great comparison, but I'd have to hear a replay of the call, and that's not going to happen.
What would you give me and fans? Tell me what you give me for Elijah Mitchell having a lot of Garoppolo in him. Before McCaffrey, this was his gig. Steiny, he just couldn't remain healthy. He still can't. And I know a lot of times last year we wanted McCaffrey to, wanted Kyle to decrease his workload, but Mitchell still in a backup role can't stay healthy. So, they got a new guy in here, Steiny, and hopefully Isaac, Gazindo will be able to, give him something.
Let's go to Ben in Oakland. What's up, Ben?
Is that it?
I don't think so.
My favorite part of the draft is we did not trade one of our wide receivers. I called you guys on Friday losing my mind, talking about Ayuk or Debo for a second rounder. I was furious, but you made me feel a little better, Steiny. You kind of chuckled and put me at ease. I think you knew we weren't going to do it, but that's all I got. Thank God we still have our team. We're trying to win.
There you go.
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Oh, boy.
What?
Some people want us to check the tape. I'm not going to do it, though.
What a mishaps you have. I know you ain't over there laughing and turning red. We can play some tape, but I did look at it. I looked at it wrong.
Of course, you were talking about running back out of Louisville, Isaac Guerendo.
Yeah.
Isaac Guerendo.
I had G-U-Z.
Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
We need to lose that one.
No, play it again for me, Evan.
We need to lose that one.
Over there laughing.
Okay.
Just all the bloopers we can play.
Oh, my God.
Now I'm playing with you, buddy.
Oh, my God. Just to clear up some.
Oh, I need readers. Yours are in the trash, by the way. What happened?
I took them out. I'm going to try to get them fixed.
Oh. You threw them away and then you went and took them out the trash.
Well, I tried to. The lens fell out.
Oh.
And you try to pop it back in there, but it's never the way it should be. You hate to see it. Let's. How about more Kyle Shanahan? This on. Hey. Guru always likes to talk about pressure. Ooh, big pressure on Kyle. Yeah, he's only got 4 more years left in his deal. But does he have more pressure on him this year?
I think when you get close to a Super Bowl and you don't win it, I think there's always more pressure. I mean, especially from outside in, because you're going to hear about it more. So I think, everyone has a certain expectation for the season and things like that, because you always want to do better the next year. And there's not a lot of room to do better. There's only one more game. And so, everyone wants to get their mind to that spot, but every team's different each year, too. And so you go into a year, and the main thing is you don't want to get worse. You always try to get better, but you don't want to get worse. And when you do have players that have played a lot of good football over these last 3 to 5 years, it becomes a problem because you got to pay guys, and it's harder to keep carrying that. And that's why we went into free agency. You have to make a lot of hard decisions, but we're not ready to take 2 steps back. So eventually we can take 3 steps forward, or however that is. But you don't know if that's possible. And so you try to make your free agent decisions that way. You try to do the draft that way. And I feel we're in a position that hopefully I don't think we did get worse. I think we've tried to keep it to where we're there. And now what happens is when we start working on Monday, what happens in OTAs, what happens in training camp, and that's what allows some younger guys to, hopefully that we've added, to develop them and add them for depth, or maybe to take over somebody's spot, or maybe to make the guy in front of them better because they got some better competition behind them. And that's the way you get your team better, and that's really where we're at. We did it through free agency as good as we could. We did it through the draft as good as we can, and now I'm excited to focus on real football and going to work.
I respect him for that one. He admitted and tapped into the pressure, Steiny. He said he admitted it because, there's no pressure. Gosh. He's got 3 or 4 more years. Dude, he just talked about it. When you lose a Super Bowl, he's lost 2. I just like that he knows it's about now. They're trying to cash in now.
No, that's not what I heard.
That's what I heard. He said we're not trying to take 2 steps, 3 steps back for later. We're trying to be greater now and get it done because we don't know how long the window is open. That's how I process that.
That's
play it again.
Well, it's a long one. I'll play it in a minute. But what I heard was a guy who said, we can't go all in right now. And
what is all in when you just left the Super Bowl? You don't have many holes.
That's kind of the point. So what could they have done in the draft? They don't really have a lot. Okay,
right, no, I get that. I'm agree with you.
I thought you were going to jump out of your shoes because Kyle Shanahan essentially said the one thing you don't want to do is get worse, and I don't think we got worse. Well, wait a minute. You drafted 10 rookies, and Armstead. You've already lost Armstead, and Greenlaw is hurt.
But you had some free agency additions too, Steiny.
Right, but the point is. The goal, by saying you don't want to, he doesn't think they got worse means he struggled to find a way. Well, okay, he didn't think they got worse. So clearly there was something that prevented the Niners from getting better. And what it is all their circumstances with their free agents and stuff like that. But, why couldn't a 49er fan say, well, yeah, the one thing you don't want to do is get worse. The one thing you do want to do is get better. And he said, I don't think we got worse. Why didn't he say, I think we got a lot better on draft day?
If you would have lost Ayuk or Debo, I think you would have gotten worse. But Steiny, when you go to your second Super Bowl in 5 years, I don't know how much better you can get. That's how loaded and talented this roster is.
But if you don't think they got worse, then don't worry about Greenlaw and Armstead because that's part of the equation.
Well, he didn't mention that, but that's all I worry about for this team.
Okay, I'll play devil's advocate right now. They got worse because they've lost 2 starters off their defense, and we got to see how those guys fill in. And
so that's yet to be seen, but I get it if you feel
maybe they probably have more depth right now, but did they really draft a bunch of guys who are going to get a lot of playing time next year? I doubt it if they're any good.